Hi guys, welcome back to Mindful Knits. I'm Sully and today we're back again with another great beginner-friendly project, the Moss Stitch Washcloth. Not only is it the perfect way to practice your crocheting skills and learn a new pattern, but these washcloths are also very practical for everyday use around the house. So let's start by taking a quick tour of our beginner's kit. So inside our beginner's kit, we have 4 balls of cotton yarn, one 5mm crochet hook, and one plastic yarn needle to weave in your loose ends at the end of your project. So now we can pick a color and we can get started. For today's project, you will need 1 ball of your Mindful Knits yarn. Today I've chosen the Afterglow shade for our project, your 5mm crochet hook, and yarn needle for weaving in your ends afterwards, all of which can be found in your beginner's kit. And one additional thing that you will need is just a pair of scissors. To get started with our project today, we're going to go ahead and begin with chaining 20 stitches. And remember, when we are starting our work, just ensure to leave enough of a tail to weave in your ends afterwards. And we're going to go ahead and get started with a slip knot here. Make a loop, turn it over, and pull through. We're going to go ahead and insert our hook here, pull on the tail end to tighten it. And we're going to go ahead and begin to chain. So we have yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So we're going to continue this until we have 20 chains. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'll meet you guys back at 20th. So here I am. I have completed my 20 chains, and now we are ready to begin our moss pattern. And our pattern today is an alternation between a slip stitch and a half double crochet stitch. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to skip that first chain that the current yarn is coming out of, and we're going to insert our hook into that second top loop here, and we're going to work our slip stitch. So our pattern starts off with a slip stitch and then half double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, and pull through the other loop on our hook. And that is our first slip stitch. And a half double crochet is yarn over. We're going to insert it through the next top loop, pull through, and we're going to yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops at the same time. And that is a half double crochet. So again, one more time, we're going to do a slip stitch, yarn over and pull through the other loop on our hook. Half double crochet is the next one. Yarn over again before we've gone through the top loop. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, and pull through. So slip stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. So we're going to continue in this manner until the end of the row. And I will meet you guys on the second to last stitch. So we're just going to go ahead and work one more half double crochet here. And I will meet you guys back on the second to last stitch. So here I am almost at the end of my first row. I just worked a slip stitch here, so I'm going to go ahead and work a half double crochet into this one. And then because we have an odd number of stitches in our row, we're going to end it with a slip stitch, which is what we began the row with. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work over. And you will see that the pattern has begun to form. You will see little clusters of the stitches with gaps in the middle, and this is what we want to see. So we've already chained 1, and now we're just going to go ahead and continue with the pattern as we have. So first stitch is going to be a slip stitch through, and then working a half double crochet into the next one. Through, yarn over, and pull through. So we have slip stitch, and a half double crochet. And you're going to continue this pattern until your work reaches your desired length or height. And in this case, I will be making a square shape, and it is easy to check if it has made a square shape. You can just fold it over into a triangle and see if it makes a perfect triangle from that way. So let's just go ahead and show you one more slip stitch here, yarn over, and a half double crochet. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue this pattern until our work has reached our desired height, and I will meet you guys back at the end of that final row. So here I am almost at the end of my final row. I'm going to go ahead and work one more half double crochet and then one more slip stitch to our final stitch here. And we are now done with our moss stitch pattern. And we are just going to go ahead and add a single crochet border all around our project, just to give it that finished, refined look. So now we're going to go ahead and take our hook here. We're going to chain one, and we're going to be evenly placing in single crochets around the side edges. So our top and bottom edges will be simple because we already have our stitches in there ready for us to crochet into. The sides, it is still fairly simple. If you remember, we chained 20 stitches to begin. And because we use one of them just to add height to our next row, it's essentially 19 stitches that we have on the top and bottom. And what that essentially means is that if you're working for a square project, you want to go ahead and ensure that these two sides also have 19 single crochets as well, because those are how many stitches are on the top and bottom. Now we're going to be working our single crochet borders onto the side. So if you pull your work apart a little bit, you will see that there are gaps in between the rows here. So you can determine that you're going to insert your hooks into those gaps and the smaller ones in between. So I'm going to go ahead and work my first single crochet into that first gap. And then the second one will be into the second gap here. Third one here, fourth one there. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue this pattern until the end of this row. And I will meet you guys here so I can show you guys how to turn a corner so we can continue working our single crochet borders. And I'll meet you guys here. Okay, I am at the end of the first edge side. So now I'm going to show you guys how to turn a corner. So I'm going to work my last stitch into this gap here. So I'm going to go ahead and work a regular single crochet. And what I'm going to do to create a corner is I'm going to work 2 more single crochets into that very same stitch. So I just did one. So I'm going to go ahead and work the second one and then a third one. So now you will see that the work is turning here just because there is a surplus of stitches in one loop here. And now for the bottom side, it should be fairly simple. You're just going to go ahead and put in single crochets in every single stitch gap here. And I'll meet you guys at the end of your edge row, which is at the very end of this corner. So here I am at the end of my edge border rows, and now I'm back to where we started when we began to create our edges. And I'm going to go ahead and find that chain one that I did at the beginning of our borders, not the first single crochet, but the chain one. And I'm going to go ahead and put my needle in that loop. Might be a little difficult to find. And I'm going to go ahead and work 2 single crochets into that same loop. This is in effect creating that corner that we did because the chain one creates that first stitch. And now we're adding the remaining 2. And then we're going to go ahead and find that first single crochet that we did, which would be right next to your chain one here. This is the first single crochet. We're going to insert our hook here and we're going to do a slip stitch instead of a single crochet. So we're going to go ahead and work our slip stitch, chain 1 to lock it. And now we're going to go ahead and take our scissors and leave enough of a tail here and cut it off. And now we're just going to pull on that loop and pull to tighten this last chain. And now we are finished with our project. And all that is left to do is now weave in these remaining ends. So we're going to go ahead and take our needles and thread the needle here. We're going to turn our work to the back side. And I'm going to go ahead and insert my needle behind the V patterns that are created by the single crochets on the borders. And if you need an in-depth breakdown of how to weave in your ends properly, you can always refer to one of our earlier videos. But again, you can also just ensure that the yarn isn't too visible. And all we are doing is just making sure that it doesn't come loose. So I like to send it back here. And then I'm going to skip that last thread here, and then I'm going to send it back behind the same rows. And then just not too tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off this end here. Be careful not to cut the actual work. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Skipping that last thread. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors and cut off this last tail end. And there we have it. A moss stitch washcloth. They're soft, useful, and practical for using around the house, and they're perfect for practicing your crocheting skills as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And again, if you are eager to start knitting or crocheting a new pattern, be sure to check out our other videos on our page, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.